What's up you guys, this is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today we're going to be taking a look at last month's releases, patch notes you may have missed. We'll be taking to the dev stream to see what's been hashtag confirmed, and I will be taking to Twitter to see who's been DT killing it on May's installment of the month in Warframe. Okay, so last month I missed being able to chat about update 18.10 and the through mods because of the fact that I had a business trip, so I'm going to touch on a couple of them very quickly. Honestly, while some of them had some pretty cool effects, the only ones that really stood out to me as big winners were Vulcan Blitz and Medi-Ray. Vulcan Blitz paired up with the jacket tag is fan-fucking-tastic, and it really opened up another avenue of modding which got me really excited. Because for once I didn't feel like there was one specific way I had to optimize, which for a min-maxer is a big thing. Medi-Ray I actually didn't get to touch on because it wasn't even patched in when I was still around, but it lets your sentinel heal you, which is handy if you're playing a pretty squish-tastic frame. Now, while this isn't going to take the place of something like Arcane Grace or Life Strike on your melee weapon, it's definitely handy to have. My only gripe is the fact that I really want to use this thing on long duration runs with someone like Chroma or Inaros, but even with all the survivability mods stacked, my sentinel tends to die before I can test its effectiveness under really harsh circumstances. Now, acid gels would also be on this list, however it's attached to the Sobek, and also all of the people who left "but haven't you tried it with Banshee" comments got under my fucking skin. Listen, I don't care if Banshee makes the Sobek good, because she can make other good weapons even better. Moving along in update 18.11, we got ourselves the Stradivar. Now, while the weapon was a bit under-tuned, especially for its mastery rank, its ability to swap fire modes with a single click is super exciting to me. It opens up avenues for other more creative weapon combinations that I hope the dev team will explore. Okay, now on to update 18.12, Phobon Prime Access, which was pretty much a win overall. While the Fragor Prime is a bit limited in its range, it has insane red crit potential with body count and blood rush. The Axe Stiletto suffers from a bit of an identity crisis as it skirts a line in between crit weapon and status weapon. Now, the most interesting thing that I found about it is the fact that it actually performs both roles surprisingly well. And last but not least is Phobon Prime himself, which in addition to a model that even manages to turn himself on, got a mild rework, swapping his bounce pad for a new bag of balls called Mine Layer. It adds a tripwire that stifles enemy movement, a shrapnel grenade which strips armor, a concussion grenade that stuns and confuses enemies, in addition to his magnetizing bounce pad. Now, speaking of reworks, update 18.13 brought a slew of Warframe changes, from the Vilton Mag reworks to the Trinity Mirage, Excalibur, Mesa, and Valkyr rebalancing. Now, there is a lot to be said here, so let me keep it simple. Volt's rework was fantastic, which had strong focus on his ultimate that now provides a good chunk of damage at lower levels, but maintains its usefulness as CC at higher levels. Mag, to be honest, well, the jury is still out on her. While the original version of her Polarized was a bit overtuned, they gave it more flexibility among factions, but completely got rid of its ability to scale into high levels, which kinda confused me as practically every rework thus far was to help Warframe scale better in the late game. Now, as for the rebalancing, for the most part they were fine, excluding one that may have been reined in a bit too far, but has subsequently been fixed. Trinity's Blessing is no longer zone-wide, but instead works at the 50-meter affinity range, and now maxes out at a fixed 75% damage reduction with a max transient fortitude, which I think is a better compromise between its overpowered state and its original post-rebalancing state. As for Mirage, her Prism's blind now works off of line of sight, which is fair. Excalibur's exalted blade wave damage now diminishes the further it travels, as well as each enemy it passes through, which is also fair. Valkyr's Hysteria state will now require you to get out of range of enemies or their line of sight in order to safely deactivate Hysteria without taking damage, which adds a bit more risk to her ability to stay invulnerable, which is definitely fair. And Mesa won the day by getting to keep her Shooting Gallery's lasso and allowing Peacemaker to adopt her secondary weapons mods. For further details, check out the playtesting videos in the reference box. Make sure you have your annotations on too, because I updated them to reflect the changes in the recent hotfixes. Moving along to patch notes, I'm gonna be honest. The big things I did my best to cover in previous videos, so everything that's left over is pretty dinky. However, there are a few that I haven't managed to make videos of yet, so we'll chat about those as well. Now, 18.10.5 brought Rhino Prime's Iron Skin PBR treatment, which means, of course, we rose gold that shit. In 18.11, Oberon's Renewal Orbeez have doubled in speed and his animation time has been trimmed. So yay for all you Oberon mains! May your balls travel at great velocity. Moving along, update 18.12 upped the Tycho survival mission on Earth's rewards to include T3 Void Keys. For those wondering, yes, that is the one on the Orokin Moon tile set, so if you're out farming for T3 keys, now you have a change of scenery. Okay, so on to 18.13. As you all know, this was the update that dropped the reworks, rebalances, and passives. However, there were a few gems hidden amongst all of the player panic over the swings of the nerf bat. First off, they rebalanced the EMP aura and reintroduced it into the alert reward pool. For those of you who only know of two auras, Energy Siphon and Corrosive Projection, EMP Aura reduces the accuracy of all Corpus troops by 10%, which makes a 4-stack 40% less accurate. And as we all know, projectile weapons aren't the most accurate to begin with, so this may prove to be hilarious. Continuing with all of the funny business, instead of the wonderful old wizard wands that pop up when an enemy is disarmed by either Loki's radial disarm or Nyx's new passive, Grineer troops will be forced to use the Sheath and Corpus troops will be forced to use the Prova. Not quite sure which is the bigger insult, but regardless, it is a cool little addition. Now, this one is a bit of a word of warning. For those who previously used Inaros' Scarab Swarm to heal defense pods and other objectives, you can't do that anymore because they fixed that shit. And speaking of fixing things, but not really, Ash's Fatal Teleport Augment now affects enemies that are normally immune to being stunned, like Arctic Eximus. However, it so randomly just doesn't perform finishers on moving or obstructed enemies. We might need more fixes on this one, DE. Moving along, update 18.13.2 added some finishing touches to the Trinity and Valkyr rebalances, which you can catch via annotation in the playtesting video, as well as some interesting changes to enemy AI. First off, plasma grenades can now be shot in the air or once they land on the ground to detonate them, damaging surrounding enemies, but dealing no damage to you or any friendly structures. Now, to be honest with you, these things are a bitch to spot. They need to add some sort of glow or energy effect to them if they really think we're going to be able to shoot them out of the air. That aside, you can use ground pounds to pop them once they hit the floor. It's honestly the easiest way that I've found to disable them. Next up, ballistas now have a wind-up time before they shoot. Listening up for this alert should give you enough reaction time to take evasive maneuvers or eliminate the threat. And last but not least, Hayeka Masters no longer shoot you through walls with their Ignis. Hallelujah! I don't need to say it, but I'm gonna say it, it should have been like that in the first place. Now, aside from all of the rebalances, 18.13.2 did introduce one last massive thing, which was the starting mod capacity changes. So this one is pretty simple. Whatever your mastery rank is what your starting mod capacity will be for all unranked weapons and warframes. A catalyst will double that capacity like it always does. Now, capacity will not change until you have leveled the weapon past whatever new starting mod capacity is. So, in short, you'll just get a little head start with mods, but in the end, max capacity will still be the same. Now onto the dev streams for #confirmed. Most of what was covered in DevStream 74 has already been released. However, they did show us a few things that they were working on, like the colorblind options, which I think are fantastic yet a bit overdue. They previewed the new market, which definitely looks quite slick, and teased some new Arcwing tweaks and game modes, but they didn't provide any assets to show. However, to make up for it, they did manage one of my favorite DevStream moments of this year.
Oh no, go away, 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 go away.
Not the start.
It's too late. Want to talk a little bit about that, Steve?
Moving along to DevStream 75, they previewed two new stances, one for the Tonfa and another for the dual daggers. Scott also mentioned that they are in the process of reworking Ash's Bladestorm, and while he wasn't going to commit to anything specific, he did confirm that Limbo would be the next frame he'll be looking at rebalancing. They also showed off an interesting new primary that they're working on, which is this half staff blaster and half throwable spear, which I'm quite excited to get more details on. And last but not least, we got a sneak peek of the new Grineer Fortress tile set coming to U19, which looked absolutely beautiful. However, this did come with the news that due to how content-rich U19 has become, they've come to the conclusion that the best course of action for it will be to split the War Within quest into multiple parts. Now, just to clarify, it does sound like they're splitting it in two, however, I am choosing my words carefully because unless they specified it verbatim, it isn't exactly #confirmed. And now on to one of my favorite segments. Let's take a look at who's been DT killing it this month. Okay, first and foremost, I gotta start this off with a quick tip. If you're submitting a look, be sure to include @agayGuyPlays so that it'll pop up in my feed, as well as the row and column codes for your setup, so I don't have to track you down last minute like I tend to do. Okay, so this one I got a while back and I thought it was pretty fucking sick. As many of you know, my primes stay looking primed with a touch of rose gold. However, @JustAShadow busted out this gorgeous chocolatey Sarin prime that I am very much into. It's not usually a color setup that I would run to, but damn, it looks good. Now, this month I was also feeling TennoGen monochrome with a splash of color. I literally had to pick up Volta Arrestor helmet after I saw @ZeroArcMaster65's look. A bit on the simple side color palette wise, but they used the Prism accessories to incorporate in a bit more of the energy color. Next up, @PatSmithPro submitted this badass looking Nova using the Stinger Skin and Tachyon helmet. Now, all of the Nova looks that I had featured in my TennoGen haul video were all kinda cutesy, but this take on her definitely felt a bit more rough and tumble, which I found to be quite refreshing. Alrighty, well that closes out this installment of the month in Warframe. Be sure to give a thumbs up if you really did enjoy it, and more importantly, be sure to share it if you felt like it was worth sharing. In addition, don't forget to check out its companion series, Return Fire, where we answer the community's burning Warframe questions. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I asked you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Alright, well, I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye!